What's up, everybody? It's Tuesday. It's draft season. We're mock drafting. Got a full house tonight. I love it. It's about time. About time you guys get serious. He's going to wait till the morning of your draft to start doing research or something and then wonder why you don't win. We've had some interesting developments for those not paying attention. Not only does it look like the Colts will be without Carson Wentz for a while, they're going to be without their best offensive lineman, Quentin Nelson, which was, one of the big selling points for Jonathan Taylor, right? Like, oh, look at that offensive line. Well, now that's not looking good either. So interested to see how far JT drops tonight. That's for sure. We got it here right now. Why isn't this thing going away? Go away. What's up, Ale? What's up, Jeremy?
What up, guys?
What's up, man?
Hey, so Phillip Rivers coming back to the Colts?
Nah. I don't think Phillip Rivers wants to play a full season. I think if a team, like a playoff contender late in the season loses their quarterback, I think that's when he'll jump, because it's like, okay, play 5-6 games, finish out the season, and then roll into the playoffs. I don't think Phillip Rivers wants to play 17 games. But I could be wrong.
Yeah. I think he just wants a chance at a Super Bowl, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. So a team like, let's say the Rams. Well, I don't want to put that out there. Let's say Dallas.
I think the Ravens. If Lamar goes down for some reason, I think that would be good.
Yeah, I mean any team really that.
Not wishing that on Lamar or anybody, but like
any team that is a playoff contender and loses their quarterback late in the season. I think he would go and try, like you said, try to make it happen. What's up, Pierre? So now that Jonathan Taylor has no quarterback and does not have the amazing offensive line that everybody wants to point to as a reason to draft him, how far is he falling? How far is he falling for you guys?
You should go where Gibson goes.
Would you take him over Gibson?
How's the toe?
Me personally, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. No way. It's not even tough, man. It's an easy choice. What about Najee?
Are we talking Taylor?
So I want Najee.
I don't know.
Talking about Jonathan Taylor. I mean, okay, definitely not drafting him over Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, and I'd take Najee over him as well.
Pierre's thinking about it, and I'm like wondering. See, every now and then I think Pierre like makes a leap, but then like his old ways come in. He's like, but he's a workhorse. But I can't let go of the workhorse.
Well, no.
Why would you take JT over Gibson?
I never considered him a true workhorse because we knew Hines was going to be involved. It's just we always overreact to things. I know the Wentz injury, I thought that would help Taylor because he's going to get more work. They're going to lean on the running game a lot more, and that's what you want. The Nelson injury, I mean, that hurts him, but again, it's not like they're just going to be like a gaping hole. Like they're going to play with 4 offensive linemen. Like they're going to get somebody else who's decent to fill his spot, right? It's not like they go for all of a sudden to be like the worst offensive line in the league, because the Colts already had, I think last year they were ranked, PFF graded them the second best offensive line. Now,
but
take away their best linemen. Yeah, I get it. But still, does that make them a middle of the pack offensive line or like one of the worst? I think they're still middle of the pack, even if they find a decent replacement. So if you get a guy who still has a ton of volume, a ton of talent on a decent offensive line that's going to run the ball a lot, like I don't think you downgrade him that much. I think he is at latest a middle second round pick.
But what if he's got a middle offensive line and he's on one of the worst offenses in the NFL? Because that's what they're going to be.
Well,
That's the thing. That's the thing. Like they're going to like, I don't know if you saw what I posted. TJ Hernandez tweeted it out, but I posted
I saw that.
Like the odds aren't good.
That whole thing he put, that was like worst case scenario. Like you're assuming that they're going to be the worst team in the league.
Bottom five.
Like they're not.
I think with any of those three quarterbacks, we can safely project them for bottom five. Like it's not like they have Devontae Adams on one side. Like they have Michael Pittman, who maybe was going to be a breakout. T.Y. Hilton, who's a shell of his former self. They don't have like weapons. It's not like these guys can come in and have people like, I think saying they're going to be a bottom five offense is more than fair. More than fair.
Well, but also, again, the other argument to that is, I mean, he'd still be valuable, right? Even if he's not on a good offense, even if they're just bad offenses can produce decent fantasy players. And it's the James Robinson argument's going to be the easy one because he happened to be a breakout player on a really bad team last year. But there's also players who can still have some value on not so good teams. But the other thing is Carson Wentz, he's not out for the season, right? He'll come back midway through the season if everything goes well. And then what's more important, the first half of the season or the second half of the season?
But the difference is you're drafting a guy in the second round who might do nothing for half the season. It's not like Saquon Barkley where
but he's not going to do nothing.
Okay, he's not going to do nothing, but what I mean is like the Wentz thing.
Are you going to be in the playoffs to have the benefit of Jonathan Taylor late in the season?
Another thing is, he might get more carries, but the problem is he's got Nyheim Hines, who had the third most targets among running backs last year and was the second highest targeted player on the team. So if these quarterbacks dump it off more, which you got to assume is going to be the case, although I don't know if anybody dumps it off more than Phillip Rivers, so I don't think that really changes anything. Like that guy's a dump off king. Those aren't going to Taylor. And that was the point of TJ Hernandez's thing. Is like, even if you want to use the James Robinson thing, you got to project Jonathan Taylor getting 80% or more of the touches. And he was never going to get 80% or more of the touches. Even if Marlon Mack only got a handful, just the fact that Nyheim Hines is going to get the majority of, I know Taylor will get some catches, but he was going to get the majority of the receptions. He was never going to get 80%, maybe 70, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why he can't be a high first round pick even before the Wentz injury, before the Nelson injury. He was never going to be that guy in the pass catching. So the argument for me is dropping Taylor. Hines' presence is more of a worry than the injuries. Like I said, the Wentz injury might actually be good for him. The Nelson injury is not good for anybody. Again, the question is,
you got these terrible quarterbacks, and now they're going to be under pressure. All right, looks like everybody's here.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's fair to drop him. Bill, what's up, Bill? By the way, I saw you jumped on.
I say, it's good to see you guys. I haven't seen you in a while.
Here we go.
Is everybody here? Do you have an open spot? Or are you good?
It looks like we're good. It looked like we might have some people out, but everybody's here. But I'm happy you're on here because it's always good chatting with you.
Sorry, man. I've been doing lacrosse for a whole 30 days straight. I'm sorry.
But how are you feeling about Jonathan Taylor these days with the Wentz and Quentin Nelson news?
I feel I readjusted my I got my stuff almost finished for you guys. I readjusted from what I heard today about Nelson. And if you can get him at 2-2 or 2-3, I was just saying it's an incredible. I mean, you'd have to take him as your second running back. I know you don't want to maybe in 3 wide receiver, but you take him.
Would you take him? Would you take him or Gibson?
Oh, Gibson now. I take Gibson.
Yeah, I think Gibson's easy.
Yeah, I take Gibson too. Yeah.
What about Gibson and Najee? Gibson.
Taylor or
Najee. Sorry, Taylor.
I don't care what I heard about Najee today. That was fine. He's going to be fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
Did he get dinged? Yeah. I think Najee. I have to put Najee ahead of him. I think Taylor's going to go at 2-1 or 2-2 or 2-3 now. Depends though. Like if Eason is the quarterback for sure, that's going to happen. If they pull in a Foles or a Wentz, they might get a bump 1 or 2 slots in his. But I think he's going to go behind those guys now, not for every draft, because look, in dynasty or keeper, he's going to go ahead of those guys.
Yeah,
we're talking redraft. In redraft, he's going to go now at definitely a 2-1, 2-2, 2-3. I think second round. Don't you guys think that's where he's going to go now?
Yeah, I have him after Najee too. Hold on, Stinger here. He was just in the thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I don't think you can come past the middle of the second round. You can't overreact because again, if
No,
Wentz
no, no,
comes
no,
back
no,
in
no,
midseason,
no,
if
no, no,
Quentin
no, no,
Nelson
no.
comes
You're right.
back in midseason around the same time, then you have yourself that stud for the second half when it matters the
No,
most.
and he
And
could
it's
be
not like he's
Pierre.
going to do nothing the first
Yeah,
half, right? It's not like he's out for 5 to 12 weeks. It's his teammates, So
and I think Pierre, if he's there 2-3, 2-4, 2-5, you've got to take the value. You have to draft him. I don't care
I
what your
still wouldn't
draft plan
draft
is.
him over Gibson or Najee.
No,
So
no,
if
I
he's there,
don't. No. You're right. But I'm assuming what I've been seeing in a lot of redraft leagues. How's your best ball going, by the way? Is what round you guys in?
7.
I couldn't get in there, man. I try. I can't make a $50 deposit. It's ridiculous. I don't know why I can't make deposit. Is it because where I live?
Maybe.
Could be.
There are some.
Yeah.
There are some. What state are you in?
New York.
I think you should be good in New York, but I'm not positive. But there are some states like Arizona. When I go to Arizona, I can't do DraftKings. I can't do anything. I'm like screwed.
You're gonna do another one? I'll do another one with you guys.
Yeah,
I gotta figure it out.
it was hard to fill this one. Maybe after doing one, the guys will be more. It'll be easier to fill another one. It's hard to get this one, but we're definitely going to do.
Are they adapting to their?
Yeah, we're definitely going to do a PPR redraft league. So I will.
All right, good. You guys are definitely in my league, though, right? My dynasty.
Yeah.
All right, good. We're going to do that in 2 weeks. You guys are in, all of you, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good.
Definitely.
That's not going to be a lot of
I
money.
can't speak for everybody else, but I'm in.
I know Pierre's in. I know that the normal guys are all in here.
Yeah, I'm in. I haven't heard anything about it.
Nick's in. Stinger's dying to get in. We're gonna have to cover Stinger's cost because he's a kid. We can't let him pay any money.
We'll cover him.
Yeah,
we
no
got
problem.
$2 each. We're good. All right, man. I just wanted to come in and say hi to you guys and let you know I'm going to be free for now for a little bit, so we'll be good to go.
Awesome. Start jumping in the drafts. I'm
going to come in on Thursday. All right, guys. Is Thursday open still?
Yeah, there's still a bunch of spots open for Thursday. I was just in it.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get. You haven't seen Jay, right?
No, how's he doing?
He's doing all right. I got to go check on him and see how he's doing. Get him back in here.
I saw he made some moves in the dynasty league, so I was like, okay, he's still alive at least.
Yeah, he is. We're just trying to get our in the cut. We're just trying to finalize in the cut. And a lot of things we got to do there. It's a lot of just details that are hard for us to work out, being an hour and a half away from each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, enjoy the draft. I'll talk to you soon, Chris. Pierre,
right,
thanks for letting me jump on, man.
Of course, anytime, man. Good talking to you, Bill.
Yeah.
All right, good to see you guys.
Later, Bill.
See ya.
Yep.
See ya. So, like we thought, Jonathan Taylor went at the 5?
I'm a man of my word. I'm not going to let him drop past that. Its value's too good. Now, one thing I'll say, like the question really is, it depends on how drafts go. Most of them will be almost all running backs in the first round, right? So I think the question you have to ask is not what spot you take him, is which running backs do you take him over and which running backs do you take instead? And I think right there, that's exactly it. Like I'm taking Najee over him every time. And then Gibson, I think you have to take Gibson over him. But it's kind of close to me. Gibson is kind of debatable, but I would take Gibson. And then, but I'm not going to take Joe Mixon instead of Taylor because there's a little questionable there. And, then this is the run of running backs that I don't feel comfortable with. Like I'm not taking Edwards-Helaire. I'm not taking Swift. It's too early. I'm not taking Sanders. It's a little too early for Carson and Montgomery, even though I like them. I'm not going to take them over Taylor.
No.
So that right there is kind of the sweet spot. Like you don't need to go running back there. I could have just gone receiver, but I'll take the value.
Here's a question. So if Hopkins would have went instead of Metcalf, would you still have taken Taylor? I knew that would be the one. I was like, because Metcalf wasn't there, that's why I went Taylor. I was like, if Metcalf would have failed, I was like, I would have loved to see who you would have took.
Yeah, I mean, objectively, I mean, you'd probably better value with Taylor, but I mean, both Ridley or Metcalf could be, you make a case that they should both go ahead of Taylor at this point. That's probably the safer pick, but Chris, safe doesn't win leagues. So, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But either way, it's not a wrong pick. It just depends. You want to start with your running
Yeah,
backs.
oh,
and,
yeah.
Take the risk or so.
When I don't know if you guys saw, but when Stinger posted in news, Deshaun Watson with the exclamation point, I'm like, did he get traded to the Giants? Yeah, I'd be freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, did Deshaun Watson just get traded to the Giants?
I didn't know what he was talking about. I was like,
I know, but that's just what I thought at first. I'm like, so I'm looking, I'm like, I don't see anything from Schefter. I don't see anything from Rappaport. Let me go on ESPN. I don't see anything on ESPN. I'm like, what's he talking about?
What is he talking about? I still don't know.
He thinks that the Colts will trade for Deshaun Watson, but they're not going to because, well, I'm sure the Colts would gladly trade for Deshaun Watson, but the Texans, no way in hell they're trading Deshaun Watson to their rivals. No way.
Oh, yeah.
That's not happening.
And can the Eagles now afford Watson if they don't get the first round from the Colts? Yeah, there we go.
What's that? I think he has, what does he have to play? Like 70% of the snaps?
Yeah. And so if he comes back yeah, that's what I was like. I was like, well, then I don't think they're going to get a first. They're only going to get a second. They're only going to give up a second, whatever. Yeah. The Eagles are only going to get a second there. That's the best way to put it.
Can't make too much too. There was a tweet earlier about the Eagles. The team's clearing up cap space. All of a sudden, they have $14 million free, and his cap hit is $15 million, and then the eyes, emoji. That's exactly what happened when Buffalo cleared some room, and it was like, oh, Zach Ertz is exactly this much money, and they just cleared up exactly this much money, and yeah, that was a bunch of bull. So, it's like,
are you mad because Ertz didn't move?
I'm annoyed that Ertz didn't move. Yeah, but
but it's true. That's the thing about this time of year is we make.
You mean to make the pizza?
We blow everything out of proportion right now.
Huh?
We blow everything out of proportion right now. Any little piece of news is like, oh my God.
Yeah, some ex-rookie caught a ball today and he went for a touchdown in training camp with no pads, and so you almost just have to not. You just have to shut it out and not look at the news and not.
Yeah, I mean, there's news like Quentin Nelson having foot surgery. That's like, okay, you have to pay attention to that.
Right.
And then there's news like CeeDee Lamb made a one-handed catch with no shoulder pads on in 7-on-7s. And then it's like, oh my God, CeeDee Lamb top 5. You know what I mean?
So the news I did watch or have been hearing is Melvin Gordon is clearly the one. It gets reiterated, I think, every day. And I'm like, ooh, this is not good for Jamal. Or is it Jamal?
Javonte.
Javonte,
yeah. But the thing about the number one week one doesn't mean you're going to be the number one week 10 or week 11. I
just noticed Michael Thomas got taken in the third round.
That's why I asked if he was coming back.
The guy's got 3 running backs and no wide receivers because he took Michael Thomas.
All right. Sorry. That jumped out.
Well, I don't even remember what I was talking about.
I was talking about Williams.
Javonte?
Oh, yeah. I still think because I saw this is something that I've kind of always thought happened, but never had the data to back it up. And then I saw something that yesterday where somebody posted it that showed that, yes, historically, rookies get better as the season goes on at all positions. So, yeah, I think Melvin Gordon will have the job. He will be like the starter week 1, and he might even be the starter week 6. He might even be the starter week 8. But I think at some point down the stretch, Javonte will take over, like we saw with Jonathan Taylor. Because remember, even when Marlon Mack went down last year, everybody's like, oh, my God, I have a league winner, Jonathan Taylor, and he sucked. Until like week 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever it was, and then he took off and won everybody leagues, right? And I think we're going to see something similar with Javonte. I'm not saying Melvin Gordon's going to get hurt, but I just think he's going to eventually take over that backfield. I think he's just got more juice than Melvin Gordon does right now. So I think Melvin Gordon's a great pick in like the 8th, 9th round because he can help you early in the season, but he's not a guy I don't think he's going to help you win a championship necessarily.
Well, I think the reason I like Javonte in those earlier rounds, he usually goes in I think the 5th for us, and that's why I've liked him there was because I thought honestly by the 4th game he'd have the job, so that's why I was bringing it up. I was really high on him, I guess. And then like the more reports came out that Gordon was obviously the one who will get most of the work, I was like, ooh, this is not something I want to see.
Yeah, fourth week I think's optimistic.
It'll be, at like week 9 or 10, like Chris was saying, that's
Yeah,
kind of
but
the
that's
sweet spot.
okay.
Also, you got to pay attention to the fact that, okay, so Javonte, people are going to expect, they drafted him to replace Melvin Gordon, and that's probably true, but not for this year, for next year, because Melvin Gordon's going to be free agent after this year. So is Javonte going to take over? Yeah, but not in the beginning of the season. But at the end of the season, of course, they want Javonte to get more work because he's going to be their guy next year. Melvin Gordon's not going to be around next year. So it would make sense for them, especially, unless they're like, a first place in their division and making a strong playoff run and Melvin Gordon's running really well, well, then, yeah, that's not going to change. But, the worst case, I think, for Javonte is it's a 1-2 punch. And then the best case is by week 10, he's getting more work, and then maybe he's out touching Gordon. He might not be a league winner. He might not be the guy like Taylor who's getting all the touches all of a sudden, but he might be more valuable than Gordon by that point. But that's a good case where Gordon is a great best ball value. And like I was saying, because in best ball, it doesn't matter if they put their best weeks up in week 1 or week 14, right? And week 14, 15, 16 is just as valuable as week 1, 2, and 3. So if a guy is going to be the starter the first half of the year, then great. You take him earlier. The other guys going. Javonte Williams going a lot earlier in a lot of best ball leagues than Melvin Gordon. But let's just pretend the first half of the year, Gordon gets this much production, and the second half of the year, Javonte matches him. Javonte's more valuable in redraft leagues with playoffs. They're the same in best ball, and Melvin Gordon's much more valuable because you drafted him later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the problem with guys like Javonte Williams in best ball, that's why I just passed on him in underdog, even though it was hard to pass on him.
It's going too high.
Well, the thing is in best ball, because it's a points accumulation league, it's not like a head-to-head record league with playoffs. If Javonte takes over in week 10, you might be like 400 points behind. You might be out of it. You know what I mean? He can't. He might not be able to make up that difference, because if you take him around 6 and he's getting 30-40% of the touches, and Melvin Gordon is getting 60-70% of the touches, he's not really helping you week to week. And by the time he finally starts helping you, you might be out of it. Whereas, like Pierre was saying, in a redraft league with playoffs, let's say you're going into week 10 and you're 5-5, and now all of a sudden Javonte has like a Jonathan Taylor type finish, you're making the playoffs for sure, and you have a chance to win. So that's why, like in redraft, I'll grab him there because it's fine. I'll let him sit on my bench. But in best ball, I have a hard time. I do sometimes, but I prefer. I prefer Gordon just because he's going like so much later. I prefer.
What do you guys think about owning entire backfields in best ball?
In best ball, it makes a lot more sense than in redraft, because in redraft, you're picking and choosing. We were just talking about that in one of our, yesterday we were talking, like, we're having the Chubb Hunt discussion. Like, you can't just pick both of them as your top 2 RBs in redraft, because then you're only getting the upside of one backfield. But in best ball, that's actually, I'm not saying it's a great strategy, but it makes more sense, because if one guy goes down with injury, then you already have that guy, and there is no waivers, right? So you already have that guy, but also, that boosts the upside of that pick. The other thing is you're just limiting yourself, of course, if you're owning like three running backs in one team, and hoping that you get the 49ers running back that hits, then those are picks you could have made on other teams. You know what I mean? So it's just actually a little safer. You're just playing it more safe, and safe doesn't win really in best ball.
No, I mean, unless it's like Chubb and Hunt, but I don't draft Chubb, so I don't have to worry about it.
I asked because I drafted ETN, so I was wondering, like, do I look at Robinson then, or?
I wouldn't, honestly. I wouldn't. You got to think about it like this. If they're splitting, then that doesn't help you.
That's true. Yeah.
And if one guy is dominating, then you have a guy on your bench doing nothing. Like, you have a guy on your roster doing nothing, where you could have a guy on another team who's doing something. So I just don't like that strategy at all, to be honest. I'll do it with wide receivers. Like I'll do it with CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. I'll do it with Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, because those guys can both have good games in the same week. One guy can have a monster game, the other guy can have a monster game. Like, but with running backs, it's hard for two guys to have great games. And like if Etienne owns that backfield, James Robinson is going to be worthless. So,
Yeah, that situation is slightly different because we don't really know how Etienne is going to be used. Like he might be used a lot as a receiver or just a pass catching back. So it might kind of turn into a Chubb Hunt situation where they're both, fantasy viable, but then it depends. But, do you think that offense has the ability to have the same kind of rushing production as the Cleveland Browns did last year? Probably not, because their offensive line isn't nearly that good, and we don't know.
And their defense isn't as good.
What he is, huh?
Their defense isn't as good.
Well, their defense is definitely not as good. So that's another thing, right? They can't just sit on leads. They're not going to be that kind of team. So Etienne definitely has more upside because he'll be used as a receiver. I think Robinson there's no way he's going to do what he did last year. Like, I think we already saw his ceiling, not because, he's a 1 year wonder or anything like that, just because the way he's going to be used from now on.
Yeah. I guess like looking at it now, because this is my first year doing best ball, I would pretty much almost exclusively probably do like running back on drafts here on out.
In underdog, I think that's an okay strategy. Actually, it's okay on other leagues too, but especially
because there's so many wide receivers, like even like Mecole Hardman or guys like that you can just. I'm just saying, like they're gonna have like 1 or 2 weeks where they're going to be in your lineup on underdog.
Yeah, but the 1 or 2 weeks guys are the guys you want to be drafting like with your last few spots. You still want, even though we want spike weeks and we're chasing spike. Wow, Arsenal just took DJ Chark and Chenault. Even though we're chasing spike weeks and we want those spike weeks, we also need guys that's like, again, you need points, right? It's a total points league. So the guys that get you like 15, they're really valuable too. So if a guy like Hardman's going to get you 2 20+ point games, and every other game he's not even going to be in your lineup, that doesn't really. I mean, yeah, he helps you twice, and that's okay for like the guys you pick with your last few picks. But you don't want that with like the guy in the 10th or something.
Well, then, so I drafted OBJ. Should I look at Jarvis then? I mean, I don't like drafting Jarvis Landry in best ball.
Well,
but
you know how I feel about Jarvis.
I know, that's why I asked.
Maybe ask Pierre.
You were the one that went there.
Jeremy.
Take Jarvis. No, well, okay. First of all, I'm not going to get on the whole Jarvis Landry thing again. Chris, did you mean to take Brandon Cooks?
Yeah, I was waiting there.
All right. Look, Jarvis Landry was not 100% healthy last year, and he put up 1,100 yards the year before. So he's got some upside. He's not just like a low ceiling guy. But anyways, besides that, it's like a delicate balancing act in best ball because, yeah, you want to have, you're exactly right. So you get those guys that have those spike weeks and have the high ceilings. But if you get too many of those, if you have no floor, like especially at running back, like if you have just a bunch of flyers and guys who could break out, well, somebody gets hurt or, they don't pan out. And then all of a sudden you're taking a 0 at your second running back spot. Like you're not going to win that way. You know what I mean? Or if you have guys who are just getting 2 or 3 points. So you want to have like a solid core of players that you feel good, have at least a solid floor. And then the mid rounds on, you're going to go for ceiling, right? Ceiling, but not total lottery tickets. Like the lottery tickets should be the last couple of rounds, but you do take those guys instead of the, kind of safer, boring guys. Like you don't want, let me see a good example. Well, probably not anymore. Like a Jamison Crowder, like he doesn't have any value in best ball at this point, right? Like a Sterling Shepard, he could put up some decent weeks, but you'd rather take a Darius Slayton because Darius Slayton has more of a chance to go 50 yards for a touchdown. You know what I mean? So,
and then you take Jarvis Landry.
Listen, who was I going to take over Jarvis there? Who's the best available?
You got Debo. I would take Debo over him 100%.
I don't know.
I mean, what?
Landry is a solid pick there.
Okay, but there's no upside. None.
How's that no upside?
Okay, I thought we did this like 2 weeks ago, but let's do it again.
All right, let's do. Okay, look, Jarvis Landry
Pause,
before
pause.
last year.
I don't let me.
Hey, before last
I did not
year, what do you mean
instigate
before
this. I
last
have nothing to do with this. This is you two.
last year was best case scenario for him. It was him and like the fourth and fifth string wide receivers. Like he should have gotten, if he was going to blow up, last year was the year he should have blown up. Here was his game logs: 11, 7, 7, 15, which isn't upside, but it's okay. You're happy with that. 12, 7, 10, 9, 5, 4, 28. There you go. There's some upside. 20, 11, 19, and then 16 when it didn't matter. So he had two games where you're like, yes. And every other game was either like, why do I have Jarvis Landry? Or like, that was okay.
But where did you draft him last year? He was late last year. He wasn't.
No, he was earlier. He was like 5th or 6th round last year.
Yeah, because he was coming off a season where he
but that's
had
not the point.
1,174 yards.
This is the problem. This is my problem with value. It doesn't matter if you draft Jarvis Landry in the 15th round if he's never given you better than wide receiver 36 numbers. I don't care what round you drafted him. Now, obviously, you drafted him in the first. I don't care about that. You know what I mean? Like those guys don't do anything for you. Like a guy finishing wide receiver 40, like a guy getting you 11, 7, 7, 12, 7, 10, 9, 5, 4, 11. That never helps you. Never.
Okay, but when I click on his picture on here, it says he reported to camp in excellent shape. So should we take that into account?
There you go.
Again, what? No.
Debo is in trash shape right now, I'll tell you. And Brandon Cooks is limping around on one leg. That's what.
Yeah, you took Brandon Cooks, all right. So let's not get carried away now.
Yeah, I know. It was a panic last second pick. I probably should have taken Corey Davis or Will Fuller, but I saw the time up thing and I didn't want to go into auto, so I just clicked Brandon Cooks real quick. Not a great pick. I admit it. Not a great pick. I'll admit when I make a bad pick. Josh Allen in the 7th, though, is a great pick. Too bad that guy has like 5 running backs and no wide receivers.
Yeah. What'd you think about my Edmonds pick in best ball?
What's that?
What'd you think about my Chase Edmonds pick?
I just saw that. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. The only pick like I'm super unsure about when I made it was the Odell Beckham one. That was the only one.
Yeah, see, I used to love Odell, but I don't draft him anymore because again, he has no upside anymore. He just doesn't.
Still mad at Buster Boom for taking Chenault. I was like, I had like 4 or 5 guys queued up, and you and Pierre both just took both of them. And I was like, all right. I was like, well, I'll at least get Chenault here because I thought he was going to go running back or I actually thought QB was where he was going to go. And when he took Chenault, I was like, oh, well, I was like, my queue is completely empty now. Thanks. And then he was like,
for me, it was between Mike Williams and Odell, and I went Odell.
Oh, I'd go Mike Williams 100%.
You would have?
I don't love Mike Williams.
See, I don't love either of them, honestly. Like, that's what made it tough.
But at least Mike Williams, he's the big play guy. He's the big guy. And if he, does something this year, it's going to be something good.
I love me some Mike Williams. Speaking of, look, and I took just now, didn't I think I took Mike Williams and Michael Gallup, right? Yeah. Those are the kind of players you prefer in best ball because they will have big games. They'll have they're more, Buster Boom. So, but that's what you want. Because even if they have a down week, it doesn't matter because you get replaced, in the lineup with somebody else that did at least something. You know what I mean? So those boom weeks are a lot more helpful than the down weeks are hurtful. Yes. Having a guy like Landry is kind of a buffer is okay if he's like the only guy you have like that. So I'm not saying you want a team full of Landrys, no. But if you have one Landry, it's okay. You know what I mean? That's good because
you want a team with no Landrys.
That's a
Should
floor.
I do like Odell, Landry, and then like Donovan Peoples-Jones or something like that?
That would be a no.
Yeah.
The whole Browns wide receiver core.
I mean, see, it's okay to stack wide receivers in best ball, but you want to stack wide receivers on teams that actually throw the ball.
Darrell Hodge.
Like if you have Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool or Deontay Johnson and Juju, I'm okay with that because we know they're going to throw the ball.
And that's
I'm not-
like a
I'm not
floor stealing
stacking them. I'm
combo.
not
Like
stacking the
Claypool will have
Browns
big
up.
games and Juju won't have as many big games, but he'll get you that, 5 or 6 catches a week kind of thing. And it gives you a little buffer. And it's okay if you have one guy like that, but you don't want like Juju and Landry and I don't know, some like boring like Brandon Cooks, like you don't want that.
I mean, you guys let these guys come back to me. Anyway, you had such a good draft going, Austin. Such a good draft.
Of course, he snipes
I
too many
ruined
yours.
it. Corey Davis. I mean, yeah, I looked at him. I gave him a
Not
glance.
happy with my running back core.
I think Elijah Moore is the one there, though.
Nah, he's a 2. I know Elijah Moore's getting all the hype and everything in New York right now, but I don't think Corey Davis is playing right now. I think he's just resting.
We'll see.
Jack in the 8th.
Yeah, that's good. That's the 9th.
Oh, whoops. Yep. My bad.
Because he smartly waited. He took Fournette, then Dak, so it looks even better now. Well, I mean, these are the guys I was thinking about last time, so I'll just take them now. Screw it, take both of them.
Do I go AJ Dillon here and just really?
Just go. Hold on, let me see what running backs are available. Just
Zach
go David
Moss.
Johnson or Zach Moss.
You pass on Moss, he's not going to be there when you come back. So
Just go David Johnson or Zach Moss. Just get
You know
all
what? I'll
the
try to make a good decision here. I'll go Jalen.
get all the safe, no upside players. There
Try
you
to
go.
make a good decision.
There's some upside.
No comment.
Yeah, no, we're not doing this.
Especially with that.
Somehow 45-year-old Tom Brady can throw 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns, but no chance in hell Jalen Hurts can throw 3,000 yards, which is less than 200 yards a game.
So I would take
How
Tom
bad do you
Brady
think
over
he is?
him in a
You
6.
know, Jalen Hurts was actually good in college throwing the football. He wasn't like a Lamar Jackson, and people were like, "You should not play quarterback."
Hey,
Jalen
I
Hurts was
think
really
college
good
and
throwing the
and the
football in
NFL are two different.
Well, I
Animals.
understand that, but you're basing it off of a guy who got thrown into the starter's role behind a patchwork, decimated off. I mean, Carson Wentz was getting destroyed behind that offensive line. They're like, "Here you go, Jalen, go out there." And the offensive line now, it's not going to be one of the best, but it's going to be better. I think you guys are rushing to judgment way too soon on whether he can throw the ball or not. Not to mention he had 2 300-yard games. Has Lamar Jackson
I don't wanna hear
ever
about
had a
those 2
300-yard game?
He also had a 60-yard game that we're not even
He played
busting over.
he had a 72-yard game. He played a half.
Did you guys see the report that Sammy Watkins is by far the best wide receiver in camp so far?
I haven't seen anything about him. I've only seen stuff about Rashad Bateman, but again.
No, I saw Bateman and Brown. They just have like some soft tissue injuries, so that's probably why they said something about Watkins. But
I don't know, but did Pierre just drop? So Lamar Jackson had 0 300. God, Lamar Jackson is terrible throwing the football. God dang. Jeez. I didn't realize he was this bad. Maybe
I mean, he only
2000.
throws it though, what, like 15, 20 times a game?
That's the thing. The Ravens just run like so much.
Yeah. So, I mean, if Tom Brady threw the ball 15 times a game, his numbers would look awful too.
That's true. Okay, he did have one 300-yard game in 2019.
Instead of like Lamar Jackson bringing Bateman's value down, think, oh, we don't want Bateman, he's a Raven, forget it now. Could go the other way. Bateman's going to make Lamar Jackson look better, and he's going to be a better passer. He's got Bateman and Watkins.
But that's the thing. That's what people don't understand. That's what Jeremy doesn't understand. Lamar Jackson barely throws the ball, barely throws for any yards, and is a beast because he runs.
Yes,
Right.
and I agree with you. But
So it
you
doesn't
have
matter if Jalen Hurts isn't great.
wait. Let me finish. So you have Jalen Hurts on Lamar's level, and that's my problem.
I think he can be. Why not?
No. That's where I call the line. Lamar is way better of a quarterback than
No,
Jalen
okay,
Hurts.
but he's not.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. He might be better running, but he's not a better quarterback.
And
He's
that's
just
what
not.
you're putting the value in Jalen Hurts is the running. So you're saying, oh, Jalen Hurts is not a better runner than Lamar, but he's close enough to where
Yes.
they're going to be.
Because I think he can make up the difference throwing. I think he can make up. I think he's a better passer than people give him credit for, especially you, who think he's like, you think he's worse than like Ben DiNucci or something. Like he's not even like shouldn't even be in the NFL.
I don't think he's better
when Lamar
than
Jackson
Russell.
was drafted. People were like, there were people who said you should switch to a different position because you're not a good enough passer to be an NFL quarterback.
And he proved them wrong.
All those people are idiots.
He has not proven them wrong. He landed in the perfect situation. And look, I love Lamar Jackson, but he landed in the perfect situation where his coach said, you know what? We are going to play to, like Austin said, he throws the ball 15 times, 17 times. Do you think if the Ravens had Tom Brady, they'd throw it 15 times? So they'd throw it 40 times because that's what he's good at. John Harbaugh is a great coach. He adapts to his players. He adapted to Lamar Jackson. He played to his strengths. So Lamar Jackson is a great quarterback because of what he does. But if he was in a system where he had to throw the ball 30 or 40 times, I'm sorry. I don't think he'd be horrible, but he would not be a great quarterback. He's in the perfect situation.
And so you brought up system. I do not think the Eagles are invested into Jalen Hurts like the Ravens are into Lamar. And that's my other problem.
That's probably true, but they are this year. They have to be this year because they don't have any other choice.
But this year, I don't think they care. I think they're just trying to make it.
Every
this
NFL
year.
team cares. The Giants are brawling in practice, and Joe Judge cares, even though they're going to win 3 games. Every NFL team cares.
They care enough to think about what are they going to do next year at QB.
No.
That's what. Yeah.
Because they would just start Joe Flacco then. If they were throwing the season, they would just start Joe Flacco. Because you can't tell me Joe Flacco is better than Jalen Hurts. If you tell me Joe Flacco is better than Jalen Hurts, I'm never having this discussion with you ever again. Because that's ridiculous.
So here's the thing. I'd rather take the risk on Daniel Jones this season than Jalen Hurts.
Wow.
That's how.
Wow.
All right, I have to stop you there.
Okay. How about this? Daniel Jones threw for almost 3,000 yards last year for how bad he was.
I trust.
You're telling me
that's how much I trust
Jalen Hurts can't be that bad. He can't be that bad.
Wow.
Come on, Jeremy. This is ridiculous. It's okay to hate a guy, and it's another thing to just have
I like the guy. That's the problem.
Blind biases to where no matter what, he's the worst ever.
Okay. So
I hate Tyreek Hill, but I still admit that he's good.
All right. So wide receivers, who's better, the Giants or the Eagles? Easily, the Giants.
Giants.
No, they're not. They're not.
The Eagle wide receiver core is better.
They're equally
No,
bad.
it's not.
And not only that,
I give him that. The Giants have better receivers.
If Devonta Smith ends up being good, the Eagles have a better wide receiver core. Because I'm sorry, Kenny Galladay is horrendously overrated. Sterling Shepard is a nice slot receiver. Darius Slayton is just who he is. Kadarius Toney is not going to play anything but special teams. How is their wide receiver core better? How is it better?
So the only good Eagles wide receiver they have is Devonta Smith.
No, you don't know what you don't know.
Travis, y'all gonna stop disrespecting Travis Fulgham. Jesus Christ.
He's coming in with a Travis Fulgham.
I mean, look, he's going to start. He'd get a chance. He might be a nice sleeper this year because if Hurts is as good as Chris thinks he's going to be. And look, I agree. Look, Hurts is a better passer than Lamar Jackson. Not by a long shot. Not that Lamar Jackson is not, like he's a terrible passer, but Hurts is a better passer. Jackson's a better runner. So could he approach his fantasy value? Yes, he could. He's not as good as Lamar Jackson, but he could get close. Fantasy wise, he could definitely get close enough. But the Eagles don't have great receivers. It's Devontae Smith. I mean, they do have 2 good tight ends, so that's
Neither do the Giants. That's the thing. Like, they both don't have. Neither team has great receivers. And here's the thing: you talk. Okay, like in those 3 games that Jalen Hurts played and actually was allowed to finish.
3 games is okay. So
here's what I was going to say: Jalen Hurts was the entire offense. He's going to have to be the entire offense again, just like Lamar Jackson is the entire offense, because they don't have elite talent around him. He's going to have to run the ball 8, 9, 10 times a game. He's going to have to throw it 30 to 40 times a game. So guess what? He doesn't have to be Tom Brady. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to be.
He has to be Lamar Jackson.
No, because if Lamar Jackson threw the ball 30 times, Lamar Jackson would break fantasy football. He would break fantasy football. If he threw it 30 times and ran it 10, he would be the number one QB every year, no questions asked, because he would score like 400 plus fantasy points. But they have good running backs that they can lean on.
Look, Lamar Jackson was the number one quarterback 2 years ago, and he didn't throw the ball 30 times. So he doesn't need to do that. That's the thing, is he already proved what he can do. And, you know, he threw it, let me see, 401 times, which is nothing these days, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Here's
you can't
the
tell me
difference.
that John Harbaugh looks at Lamar Jackson in practice and says, wow, this guy is such an amazing thrower. Let's not throw the ball. Let's just not do it.
Look, they throw the ball. They don't throw it a lot, but you already said it. That's exactly the difference. And you already said that's what's the difference is the system and the coach, right? Eagles, whole new coaching staff. Yeah. They're not sold on Hurts long-term. They're looking at Deshaun Watson. Like, who knows, like how invested they're, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? They want Hurts to do well, but they're not really convinced. And they're not designing the offense around him. The entire
I saw a report that they are.
Is designed around Lamar Jackson, and they have the perfect receivers, Rashad Bateman and Sammy Watkins and Hollywood Brown. They have guys who are speedsters who can make the big play and yard after catch guys. So he doesn't need to have like that pinpoint accuracy. It's like, look, just put the ball in their hands and let them take off with it. That's what the only thing Sammy Watkins does, really, right? He'll catch a slant and hopefully he takes it to the house, or he can just chuck it deep. And because the defense is selling out on the run, they're not covering him deep, right? They're not covering Hollywood Brown when he's running down the field. So he's in a perfect system where he could be the fantasy quarterback number one again. Jalen Hurts, like if everything breaks right, like he could be a top 5 quarterback, but that's a big if, you know what I mean? Because it just depends how their offense as a whole is. We don't know how much they'll run the ball with Sanders and everybody else. We already know what Lamar Jackson's going to do. So that's the only difference.
I'm not saying Jalen Hurts over Lamar Jackson.
No,
I'm not saying Jalen Hurts number one QB. But actually, if you believe the reports, the coaching staff is designing this offense around Jalen Hurts to be more run.
Now
heavy.
they are, yes. Now
because they have to find out what they have in him. The teams don't just quit on the year. No team goes into the season and says, F it, we're not even going to try this year. No team does that. This is the NFL. They don't do that. They might do that at some point down the road when they realize they have no chance. And it's like, okay, let's get the number one pick. But they don't, they're still going to try and they're going to see what they have with him. Now, sure, if he's terrible, they're not invested in him. Okay, fine. But
Stinger picks Daniel Jones.
Terrible. I'm surprised Jeremy didn't pick Daniel Jones. I mean, geez, 11 touchdowns, 3,000 yards. So you're telling me Jalen Hurts can't reach 3,000? Is it going to reach 3,000 yards or 11 touchdowns?
And then you go to this 3-game thing, which I think is ridiculous because he played I think one of the worst defenses in all.
He gets him twice. He gets him twice this year. He gets him twice.
No.
Yes, he does. He gets Dallas twice.
Arizona? He doesn't get Arizona twice.
He gets Dallas
Arizona
twice. He played Dallas and Arizona in those two games. He gets Dallas twice.
Wait, didn't he ball out against New Orleans too?
He did. Well, he did, but it was with his legs. Because apparently we only care when somebody balls out with their legs when they're named Lamar Jackson. When Jalen Hurts runs for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Saints, we don't care. We don't care. We only look at what he did throwing. We don't care that he got.
And the Saints was the first team that played him, and they had no film to go off of. So, yeah, that's the thing. Like, people know what Daniel Jones are going to do. That's why they can prepare for him. We had no
it's because
idea
Daniel Jones is terrible. It's because Daniel Jones is terrible. It's not because they could prepare for him. It's because he's terrible. People know what Lamar Jackson's going to do, but it doesn't matter because, look, it's hard to stop a running quarterback because you don't go, okay, on this play, we're going to run Jalen Hurts. You call a pass play, which means you probably have 2 or 3 receivers, which means they have more DBs on the field. And then he drops back and nobody's open or the pocket breaks down and he takes off. That is extremely, it's hard to game plan for that. It's hard to.
But that's why they're NFL players.
What's that?
I said, that's why they're NFL players. Like, defenses are paid handsomely to read offenses.
Yeah, for sure. But it's hard. Like, it's hard to do that. Like, there's only so much guys can do. Because if you have 3 wide receivers out there, that means the other team probably has 5 DBs. Right? Maybe 6. Who knows? So that means they only have, 5 or 4, 6 or 5 or 6 like linemen and linebackers. So when Jalen Hurts drops back, and especially if Miles Sanders runs out of the backfield, that means a linebacker is probably taking off to Miles Sanders. If he sees a lane open up in the hole, like what a linebacker is going to stop that? It's very hard to defend that. It's why Lamar, like, yeah, they do call design runs for Lamar Jackson, but a lot of his runs are just him taking off. Just like RG3 that like used to do. Just like Michael Vick, Randall Cunningham, all the running quarterbacks, they never got stopped. Nobody ever shut those guys down. It's hard.
And now the RPO is a part of every NFL offense. And those teams with mobile quarterbacks, that's what they do half the time, so that the defense is always on its heels, right? And so it's run if it's there, right, and pass if it's open. So that helps the quarterback.
That and like the defense has to commit a spy for pretty much every play. So that's another like DB who can't cover because he's – or linebacker who can't cover because he's spying on the quarterback, which.
Yeah. And you can say like, oh, it's just a 3-game sample about against these two bad defenses, but he also it wasn't like this guy was practicing with the first team all year. It's like week 13 or week 14. And they're like, okay, you're up. Have fun behind that line. He didn't get a full off season like he has this year with his team to learn the playbook, to learn all the players. He just had to go out there in week 13 on a terrible team with no offensive line and make it happen. So I could make the counter argument that he's going to be better this year because he has a full offseason with his players, with his team as a starter.
Well, and I could also make the counter argument that historically, actually, I think it was last year was the worst year for defenses because of COVID, because they had no preseason, they weren't ready, and it was a higher scoring year than it has.
You're right about that, but I don't know why that matters.
It was because defenses didn't have time to prepare, or they didn't get to lift and do their training, and like they didn't have the same regiment that they. But
I don't understand. Okay, so if every offense gets knocked down a peg, what does that matter? I don't get it.
No. I'm saying defenses were knocked down a peg. So defenses.
No, I'm saying this year. I'm saying going into 2021, if defenses are better.
Yeah, defenses are.
And that means offense across the board is going to be worse. So every team's going to be
and I expect a drop from offenses from last year to this year.
But how does that affect Jalen Hurts?
Because he's going to.
But that affects everybody. It affects Tom Brady. It affects Aaron Rodgers.
It affects everybody. But I think it especially affects him because he's going into pretty much his rookie season. Like not completely, but this will be his rookie season. And with the coaching staff and Philadelphia this year and who they have, their wide receiver core being bad, I just don't see it. Like the window for Hurst is so narrow that, and then people are like, oh, he's going to be like top 5 QB. And I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see him being I like Russell better than him. And people are like,
of course.
No, it's Hurts. And I'm like, you guys are crazy.
I've never said
that's why I think he'll have a okay year. Like I'm not like
3,000 yards is a bad year. Just to let you know in the NFL.
Two things real quick. I love how Jeremy switched it from Daniel Jones to Russ.
Well, that's a little quick. That's definitely better. Like Daniel Jones.
So when I projected him, for his passing, I gave him last year's Daniel Jones for his passing.
So you gave him like 2,950 yards and 11 touchdowns.
Yes. And then I gave him his 500, or I think I actually bumped it up to 600 rushing. That's what I gave him.
I mean, yeah, if he only throws for 11 touchdowns, he's probably going to get benched.
Well, and then he also averages
11 touchdowns. Is hard to
not
do.
Interceptions, just fumbles. He averages 2 fumbles a game, actually more than that. So that's where I'm like
twice last year, I thought.
No, he fumbled it 9 times last year.
Are you sure? What stats are you looking at? I looked the other day when you guys were all like, "What about interceptions? What about fumbles?"
No, 9 times in 3 games. There's no way.
No,
it was in the 4 games. That's why I was like, and he took two were taken back for a fumble for a loss or for a score. So that's why I was like, there's no way. Like his ball handling skills are on par with Daniel Jones. That's why I'm like, everyone's like, oh, he's great and he passes and I'm like, nah, I'm out.
Well, again.
Chris, can you stat check this for me?
I'm stat checking it right now.
Okay. Also, in his 3 games last year, he was 10 times better than Lamar Jackson in his 4 games his rookie year. 10 times better.
Okay, he had Okay, yeah, he did actually have 9 fumbles. Three were lost. 3 were lost.
3 lost. See, So yeah, this man's ball handling skills is another reason he's going to lose his job. Like that's why when people are like, "Oh, it's just him," and they're going to go with him, I'm like, "No, this is a very narrow window that I
Hey,
can
Jeremy,
see him
you
losing
sound like
from
a
me."
hater right now.
Ball
He's
handling
he's
skills.
100% a hater.
He's just like
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving over there with his ball handling skills.
Drinking the Haterade.
Oh, well, anyways, who's grading this thing?
Hey, Jeremy, you out to a good start.
By the way, Lamar Jackson had 10 fumbles and 4 were a loss last year. So he's had 12.
That was for the
10.
whole season. Where
In fact, his rookie year, he led the league in fumbles and he only played 5 games? He led the league in fumbles that year. Maybe the Ravens worked with him on the offseason. Maybe the Eagles are working with Jalen Hurts now that he's actually had an offseason. Because the same thing, Lamar Jackson, he was behind Joe Flacco. That's kind of funny, right? He was behind Joe Flacco. Although I guess Jalen Hurts was behind Carson Wentz. And they just said in whatever week it was, okay, you're the starter now. Get in there. And it's like, oh, okay. And it's hard. That's hard. It's not like Joe Burrow last year. I know Justin Herbert kind of had to jump in there, but at least it was week 2. But like he didn't have an offseason to be the guy. It's like you're the backup. That's your role. And then all of a sudden, bam, you're the starter. That's not easy. So
I did hear Joe Burrow looks good in camp, which is surprising. He's almost bounced back. He got hurt later than Saquon, and he's bounced back better.
Another reason not to draft Saquon.
well,
I just meant it more as like everyone recovers differently.
Okay, you can't say he's recovered better than Saquon because we don't know what Saquon looks like because the Giants are being very careful with him. But all reports are that Saquon is doing everything the Giants are doing in practice. He's just not part of the team right now because he's on PUP. But Joe Judge said he's mirroring our practice. Like we run a play, he runs that same play. He makes the cuts, he runs the routes, he does all that.
In what,
He's
like Madden?
fighting and running laps
In
too.
the field or in Madden? Yeah.
You guys, oh man, I feel bad for you guys.
all right, let me get to grading this thing.
When
We're gonna be here
Saquon Barkley drops 25 in week 1, I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to sit back and just enjoy it. I'm not going to say a word. I'm not going to brag. I'm not going to.
Saquon Barkley's punching his teammates just like
has-
everybody else. All right, so
Yeah, he wasn't. And you know what? Saquon Barkley wasn't involved in that fight. So I'm guessing his knee's probably better than a lot of guys on that team right now.
Yeah, Daniel Jones was on the bottom of that fight.
I know. What the? How do you have a fight with your quarterback on the bottom? What is going on over there?
I mean, he probably fumbled it on the bottom, more than likely.
Well, that's true.
That would make sense. That would make sense. Sorry, quickly before we get the grades, Stinger, confidence level in Joe Judge. What's your take?
Hi.
Whoa.
Really?
Okay. Is there any area of the Giants that you're not confident
That's a
Tight
good question.
ends.
in? Okay.
I
The
don't
one
like
area- the
Ingram.
one area I
Rudolph
actually
was not a
like.
very good addition.
That's like
Just
the one
feel like
area I think the Giants
Target
are
on
okay at.
target wide receivers. Keep Barkley healthy. You'll be fine.
What do you think about Kenny Galladay, Stinger?
I like him. That's why I drafted him.
Ugh.
There we go.
You know, I haven't
Heard it there
heard
first,
honestly, I haven't heard one positive report out of Giants camp. Every report I've heard is negative. Like
Literally,
Kenny
if you-
Galladay looks terrible. The Giants are throwing, they're fighting. Like, oh my gosh, I haven't heard one. Like, oh, that's not true. There was one positive where it said Kadarius Toney got a target. So that was the one positive. And he dropped it though. So I guess it was like a positive and a negative. I
If
don't
you
know.
clicked on Daniel Jones' picture, it literally just says brutal in third practice of training camp. Like I've never seen it just say brutal in third practice of training camp. That's awful.
Mm.
All right. If Jeremy grades, he can't grade my team because I drafted Jalen Hurts. So I request like a special prosecutor for my team.
What is it? It's like, are you going to represent yourself? You're going to grade your own team?
Stinger's got to grade my team. That's the deal. Even though I don't have any Giants players.
I've never graded in my
Or
life.
Darnell Mooney. Or Kyle Pitts.
That would have helped too.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right,
I'm
let's
tired of
go.
arguing about Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. So Arsenal, McCaffrey, McLaurin, Evans, Claypool, Chase, Shark, Chenault, Fournette, Dak, David Young, or is that David or Duke? I can't tell.
David.
David, okay. Pollard and Higbee. So pretty much, let's see. So he took McCaffrey first, easy pick. Then definitely wanted to shore up his wide receiver room. I do like this strategy, especially at the one where you pretty much he took McLaurin, Evans, Claypool, and just kind of whiffed on his RB2. But I think he's strong in most all the other areas, especially getting Dak in the technically ninth, I guess. So yeah, I definitely like this team. McLaurin, Evans, Claypool, Chase, Shark, Chenault. I'm going to give it an 8. I do. Yeah. So let's move to Chris. We've got Cook.
Man,
Sorry.
did you mean to draft Cook at the 7-2?
Yeah. Yeah. The funny thing was, I was debating between Corey Davis and Will Fuller, and I was kind of looking at Brandon Cooks, and then my time up thing came, so I just clicked Brandon Cooks, and then I ended up getting Corey Davis and Will Fuller anyway, so whatever.
All right. So we got Dalvin Cook, Allen Robinson, CeeDee Lamb, Chris Carson, Jerry Jeudy, Javonte Williams, Brandon Cooks, Davis, Fuller, Rodgers still in the 10th round. I think that's good. Gainwell, and then Ingram as your tight end.
Jeremy, who did he draft at the 7-2?
That would be Brandon Cooks.
Still a better pick than Jarvis Landry.
Have we debated this before? Jarvis is
No, but this could be our new debate.
Who's Cook's QB? That's the
Probably Tyrod Taylor.
yeah. Then it's gonna be Landry. I don't think this is bad. And Judy. I'm assuming you're gonna put Davis over Cooks in your flex spot.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably should have gone Davis, Fuller, Cooks. Probably been better.
Yeah, and I think that's what you might have done. Now, I think someone might have took Cooks from you, but I don't think you would have been too upset if that happened. I don't think this is bad. I mean, yeah, your flex spot is really the only bad part. The funny thing is like the end of the year when Chris Carson does get hurt, I think you have two rookies that like that. Like,
the end of the year or after like game 2?
Wow, you guys are brutal.
I just think he has a replacement for the end of the year. If he gets hurt in the beginning of the year, it's going to be a little rough for him. But I think you got a 7.5. There's no real holes. I think you're decent in every area. You're not really strong in a bunch, so that's the thing. Like this team doesn't wow me. I guess that's the problem. Like it's good, it's decent, but there's no wow.
Exactly. It's the type of team that most people love and it never wins. Chris Carson has missed over the last 3 years. Missed 1 game, 2 games, 1 game, 4 games. Freaking injury prone. That's like every running back right there. It's just so happened last year the 4 were at the end.
So Clapping, I promise I won't hurt you too bad for your first.
All right.
So you got Kamara, Keenan Allen, Waller, which I think is fine. Mixon in the 4th, I think is good. Because
that was like the late 4th too.
Yeah, the late 4th, like, and he's just gonna get so many targets. That's the thing. Now your wide receiver core is going to look a little sketchy here because you got Robbie, you got Juju, Landry. I think Robbie's probably a boom bust for this year because it depends on how Sam Darnold in Carolina does. So I don't really mind that one. Juju's definitely safe. I think he'll get the targets. And then so like I feel like your receiver core is more safe than it is like gonna hurt you. So I think it's fine. Then you got Hurts for the upside. And then you also got Parker and Gallup which I don't mind. Man. So I guess Harris is the backup in case anything happens to Mixon. I mean, I like
That
this
guy
more than
never
I
gets
like.
hurt.
Huh?
Mixon, unlike Chris Carson, Mixon never gets hurt.
All
Was
I'm
that
saying is-
necessary? I mean,
I mean, wait, why when he's grading my team is like when Chris Carson gets hurt at the end of the year, and then on your team it's like
No. I just meant like you have.
what happens
an
when Joe
offense-
Mixon misses 2/3 of the season? What are you gonna do then?
Hey, Chris, y'all got a fantasy beef today.
What's that?
Y'all got a fantasy beef today.
I'm just messing. I like Mixon a lot. Mixon at the 410 is ridiculous. That's insane.
Yeah. So like, yeah. I like this more than Chris's team. Probably on par with Arsenal, so I'm gonna give you an 8.
fair.
Show topper. We'll do. Let's see. He's got Henry, Ridley, Jones, Dobbins, Andrews, Etienne, Samuel, Herbert, Bateman, Jones. I would like to know why he took 2 QBs. That's a little like I guess he just wants the upside of Burrow, but I mean, I guess I would have liked him to take a running back there, but he has Henry and Dobbins. So I guess ETN could be the thing. Is when you get these workhorse backs, I don't like doubling them up because do you get what I mean by that? Like,
No.
so he's got Derrick Henry and J.K. Dobbins, like them two together because they're workhorse backs, but they're never gonna see hardly any of the passes. And in PPR, I don't like doubling them up. Like I feel like that caps your upside a little bit. And so I would have liked him to go on with one of the pass catchers like Mixon or Carson. Because I feel like for a workhorse back that doesn't receive passing work, they've really got to hit. So like Henry's fine because he's shown that he can hit and does it often. Dobbins is a little more risky, and that's why he's obviously in the 4th. The biggest thing is he going to get any passing work or the touchdowns? And so that's where I'm a little worried. And then he took Andrews, who I think will take the touchdowns when they get closer to the red zone. So I don't know. I just like taking a pass catching running back and a workhorse, like 2 workhorses kind of. But I mean, you got an ETN in the 6th as well. His wide receiver core is one of the better ones so far. This flex spot will be interesting to see who he puts there. I don't like this as much as Clappin's. I probably don't even like this as much as Chris's, so I'm going to give it a 7. Let's see. Carolina Cobain. Yeah, Ezekiel Elliott, Justin Jefferson, Cup, Sutton, Sanders, Waddle, Robinson, Drake, Dallas Goddard, Aguilar, Marshall, and Brady. Let's see. So Elliott, Sanders, James Robinson, Kendrick. It's got the depth. Definitely has better wide receivers. I mean, I like Jefferson, Cup, and Sutton. I'm hoping Waddle does get healthy because I'd like to see what Waddle does in Miami. Let's see. Trying to think where. I'm gonna give this a 7.5. Stinger obviously went Saquon Barkley because he fell to him. Brown, Edwards, Galladay, Pitts, Samuel, Mooney, Connor, Elijah Moore, Gus Edwards, Beasley, Daniel Jones. Yeah. I'm just gonna I'm gonna give this a 7.
I mean, how do you draft Daniel Jones over Brady and Burrow?
Yeah,
I
they're
draft
like,
Daniel Jones over anybody, actually.
yeah, like
That's a homer pick right there.
the Daniel Jones. I was just saying for the passing work. Like there's a difference between him and Hurts, and it's the running work.
It's the passing work too, but okay.
Well, yeah, it's at least the big difference is the running work. So Lagoon went Adams, Hopkins, Woods, Kittle, Patrick Mahomes, and the 5th isn't bad at all. Mostert, Carter, Edmonds, Gage, Hardman, Davis. Man, his wide receiver core pretty good. Although there are reports that Samuel is beating out Davis for the job, right?
What?
Or Sanders. Sanders is beating out Davis, Gabriel Davis.
Yeah, he's definitely beating out Davis.
Yeah, so so I think the risk with this team is if Mostert is the one, and he is it for most, if not, oh man, that's the hard part. Yeah. I think the biggest thing here is I do like this team. And the avenue to winning is that Mostert and Edmonds have to be number ones for their team, and they have to do it all year. And then the likelihood of that, I think, is it's possible, but not by much. That's my biggest fear with this team. I'm gonna I'll give it a 7.5. Let's go to Pierre's, Jones, Taylor, Godwin, Higgins, Hawkinson. Hawkinson in the 5th. Does Hawkinson usually go in the 5th, or is he usually the 6th guy?
Usually 5th.
Well, for Pierre, it's going to be like 4th or 3rd pretty soon.
I know. That's what I'm just trying to gauge when he goes up and not. Smith, Brown in the 7th, Williams. So I guess you're not scared of Antonio Brown taken from Godwin? You think they'll both get peppered with enough targets?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the offenses that can support 3 receivers. And I know you're the Godwin pick, but the Mike Williams pick has to cancel it out, right?
Well, so I don't mind Godwin. Like, I pick him up every now and again. I just don't think he's a top 15 receiver with Brown and Evans and all the other weapons there as well. So, like, that's my big thing.
Are we too low on Antonio Brown?
Where did he go? I think that's about right. But I do like him.
I think that
because just looking, I'd probably take him. Like looking back at it, maybe over Jarvis. Obviously over Cooks, probably over even Debo, but
definitely over Jarvis and Cooks. I'd probably take him over Debo too. I'd take him over Mooney as well. Sorry, Stinger, but I would take him over.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see Mooney there. Yeah, I would as well. I'd probably take him over Waddle even, to be honest.
Oh yeah. Oh, and a lot of his value. He had a really strong end of the season. The first few games while he was still getting, back to being in game shape and all that. But it was a lot of it propped up by touchdowns too. But still, his last 4 games, fantasy wise, he was more like a wide receiver too than anything. Yeah, because the risk with him. There's always risk because it's something that has nothing to do with football.
Sure, I don't think Scotty Miller. He probably takes all of Scotty Miller's snaps this year. I would think.
Yeah. And ever since he's got in Tampa Bay, there hasn't really been any off-the-field stuff. Tom Brady knows how to keep these guys. Tom Brady's like, hey, calm down. Just stay in line, right? He just shows all those rings on his fingers. He's like, stay in line. They're like, okay. Remember LeGarrette Blount? Nobody wanted LeGarrette Blount. And then he went to New England. And it was like, oh, he's a model citizen. Doesn't do anything wrong.
True.
So wait, I didn't grade Pierre's actually. Hawkinson, running backs. Let's see. I do like that you got the stack too. I didn't see that until just now. Stafford and or wait, not Stafford, Hawkinson. That was
You got Stafford and Hawkinson.
no.
Stafford's
I thought
not in Detroit anymore. That's right. That's right.
I was thinking last year.
Yeah, never
I was
mind.
like, oh, whoops.
But he got Rashad Penny, which is great because when Chris Carson gets hurt at the end of the season, he's going to have a league winner. So
Right.
you got to give him extra points for that one.
League winner.
Yeah, can we like start predicting like injuries in terms of grades? Like,
it wasn't that. It was just a joke. So taking too far. Pierre, I do like your team. Your wide receiver core doesn't look like much, but I do think they'll be great this year. So I'm going to give you an 8.
Take that. I'll take that. Jonathan Taylor there at the second round. It didn't play out too badly.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens with him throughout the season. I do think he'll get more of the work. I do think the offensive line went down. I do think you drafted him where he should go. So I don't have a problem with any of that. So
I mean, if he gets 20 touches a game, there's no way he can't, which he will. I don't see them, with Wentz being out, they're going to just run the hell out of the ball.
Right. And, Nyheim Hines, yeah, he's their main pass catching back. It's not like Jonathan Taylor will never catch a ball all season, right? He's not Jordan Howard. You know what I mean? He doesn't have hands of stone. He can catch the ball too. So, just have to.
I mean, I thought Chris has a saying, doesn't every running back catch at least 2 or 3 passes a game?
I don't say that. Everybody else does. Everybody else thinks that. But he did have 40 catches last year.
Exactly. And Nyheim Hines,
he'll get some catches. Mike, I don't want to have a Jonathan Taylor debate, but I don't think it's a lock that if he gets 20 touches, he'll be fine. But I don't think it's a lock that he gets 20 touches. I don't think it's a lock. Like, what if they're only running 40 plays a game? He's getting 20 of them? They're going to be behind. They're going to. I know they have a good defense, but when the offense puts you, when you're starting at midfield, when your defense is starting at midfield every time, it gets tough to stop the other team to put a point.
Would be pretty horrific if that's what it ends up being.
But it will. I get Carson Wentz is going to be out the whole season. So if Wentz and Nelson were out the whole season, I probably wouldn't even touch Jonathan Taylor at all. I wouldn't draft him at all. But they'll be back at some point. So yeah, if he can hold down the fort and as your RB2, totally fine.
Yeah, and you also have backup for it. You have Ronald Jones and Murray. So they're going to be matchup dependent and stuff like that as well. So,
and I guess to end the Taylor thing, the one last thing I would say too is I feel confident that that's the type of team and coaching staff that could figure it out and they'll game plan around it. Like they were able to get by. They weren't a good team, but like Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, like they at least were able to manufacture points sometimes. I don't think this is a team like you could tell with Dallas last year with McCarthy. Like as soon as Dak Prescott went out, they were like, oh, well, what the hell do we do now? And they just got blown out of the water. Like they had no idea. Like all of a sudden they couldn't do anything, right? They couldn't, use their running back. Zeke tanked. Like I don't feel like Taylor's going to tank just because Wentz is out. And it's not like Wentz is that level of Dak anyways. Like he's crucial to the offense. Like they didn't even know what the offense looked like with Wentz. So it's not like, all of a sudden we have to go to plan B. Like, it's just a different situation.
What if Andrew Luck comes out of retirement?
JT, RB1.
RB1? Yeah.
Well, if Luck's been throwing, but he's not coming out of retirement. So.
Yeah, he's not coming out of it. All right, let me get to Buster Boom, who took Travis Kelce, which at the 108. Like it. Metcalf, Cooper, Ayuk, Swift, Davis, Sermon, Wilson, Dylan, Williams, Emmanuel Sanders, and AJ Green. So I guess, Chris, I'll ask you, because he took Kelce and the 3 wide receivers. Did he hit running back too hard? You don't think so?
Yeah, maybe I would have liked it better if he had like Corey Davis over Trey Sermon. I don't know if Trace. I like Trey Sermon, but I don't know if he's gonna. He's okay. I don't know if I know Pierre likes him a lot.
I love Trey Sermon. Well, like where is he going?
All his running backs are pure busts.
I mean, definitely Davis worries me in the sense that I don't think Davis is going to have a very high ceiling. I just don't. I think he's going to be like a 12 to 15 point guy. He's fine. Like in this situation, he's fine as your RB2 because your wide receivers and your tight ends should be your ceiling. So he's okay here where it's like, okay, I just need a guy to get me by. So I think it's okay.
I think with that team, I think you get Swift, Davis, and Sermon. They're all, kind of risky running backs. I think that would be fine if you had two of them and you had gone with another receiver before then. You had four really solid receivers. Then you can say, okay, well, I can get by with, Swift and Davis or Davis and Sermon or some combination. Those are your running backs because you have, again, Kelsey and four stud receivers. But, having those three running backs, it just kind of left. And then the receivers at the end, like those are fine for late round picks, but they're definitely not guys who could break out. You know what I mean? So I think replacing one of those running backs with a receiver would have been better.
Yeah, and that's. I was gonna say I know it's hard to pass on Swift at 5'9", but maybe if he had gone like Boyd or Devonta Smith or Curtis Samuel, I don't know who he likes better.
Yeah.
Just say screw it. I'm just going all upside, and then Davis and Sermon, and hope they hold down the fort.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my big thing with this team, and I just wanted to confirm it's just like his wide receiver or his flex spot, and he could put a running back in there, but I'm just as questionable on the running backs that I am as the receiver. Now he definitely has the advantage at tight end, and Russell Wilson as your QB isn't bad. He's got that rushing floor that we like. So my biggest problem is just the flex spot, and just only on that alone. It's not terrible, so I'm just gonna give it a 7.5. I don't think it's too bad. It's just like if you would have put another wide receiver in there somewhere, I think you could have got an 8 or even higher. So Napster 89. So he went Chubb and Harris, Thielen, Lockett, Jacobs, Hunt, Allen, Logan Thomas. It's a reach on Logan Thomas. Pittman, St. Brown, Lawrence, and Gesicki. This looks weird. Like
it's
Wait, he went Logan Thomas before Fant and Goddard.
Yeah, Thielen and Lockett, and you grab 4 running backs. Yeah, this is not one of the best. That's for sure.
I'm just gonna go with a 6.5, and I'm gonna assume some of this was autoed. Like,
all right. Yeah, I'm sure those last couple picks were. I'm sure the Lawrence and Gesicki picks were.
I do think that team went on auto for a little while.
Yeah, because like as I'm looking at it, like I think there was a plan, and then it looks like it got blown up at the end. So, so Mr. Mayhem went Eckler, Gibson. I like the start. Thomas.
0.
Yeah, that's
0.
Mr. Mayhem. Don't you know Michael Thomas?
Yeah.
You know what's going on?
Yeah, the start was good, but like the 2 picks.
Somebody else take him in the third in our drafts?
Yeah,
Who was
Mr.
it?
Mayhem just that was Stinger. But Stinger actually wanted him.
Yeah, we're gonna give this a 4 and then move on to Al.
Yeah, there you go. Let's move on.
Al's usually the one that does pretty good. That's probably the highest grade, but let's go for it. So we got Hill, Diggs, Johnson, DJ Moore, Henderson, Gaskin, Lamar, Fant, Hines. That's a little weird. Moss, I'm not big on him. Edwards, and then Smith. I forget his first name. Sorry, I'm horrible with names.
Traquan, yeah.
Yeah, Traquan. Okay. Receiver.
This literally might be one of the best teams anybody's ever grabbed.
I was just about to say the exact
Wait,
same.
what do you think? Naheem Hines is weird, Jeremy. He's literally gonna get like the dump offs for like the first 3 weeks at least.
I mean, he's got Hill, Diggs, Deontay, DJ Moore as his flex. two very good RB2s in Henderson and
Yeah.
Gaskin. Both have upside. He's got awesome QB, a high upside tight end. Like this might be one of the best teams ever drafted.
That being said, he got very lucky having Henderson fall to him at the 512. Like,
Well,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're gonna draft a team like this, you have to get lucky. Like you
that's
can't.
true. That's true.
I mean, seriously,
shocked.
that team, that's a great team.
If Henderson pans out, then yeah, that is a great team, especially getting Lamar Jackson there. I mean, right there, quarterback. But no, seriously, that is Ale always drafts strong teams, though. I don't think he's ever had a bad team.
Yeah, because I would take Henderson over Jacobs, Swift, Sanders,
Yes.
pretty much everyone in that fifth round.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, I just missed out on Saquon Barkley at the 12. He went at the 11. Ugh. That'd
See,
been-
So Al, I'm gonna give you the first 10 ever. There you go.
Whoa.
Wow.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That is a great team. I would not want to face your team in week 1, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That would be scary.
Well, there we go. All
All right. Well, thanks, Jeremy, for grading. Good job,
No
everybody.
problem.
Everybody except Mr. Mayhem, who took Michael Thomas. Mr. Mayhem, if you're watching this after the fact, you need to Google Michael Thomas injury. You need to Google it. He's not a third
Won't
rounder.
they take him back to last year though?
He's not a third rounder anymore. I know you probably were like, look at this amazing value. I get Michael Thomas in the third round at the end of the third. This is incredible. Google Michael Thomas injury.
It might be time to delete the app at this point.
I'm just gonna assume he's been sleeping for 2 weeks and he just woke up today and he's like, oh, I got to draft. And
At that point, I would like switch from Apple to like Android, so I couldn't download this app. Like, that's the level it would get.
wow.
Android, I downloaded Sleeper.
Can you get Sleeper on Android?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have
Yeah,
it.
that's right. I drafted them from the 1.6 to the 5.6.
It sounds like you're on an Android right now for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I'm on my laptop right now.
Yeah, your mic's a little raspy there.
Copy.
Yeah. Let's not start an Apple Android debate. That'll be worse.
No, we already have
Jalen
enough
Hurts
debates
thing.
on this.
We've had enough.
Enough debating fantasy football players.
Any other people we would like to debate that were just
No.
So in my
No.
opinion, Jarvis Landry is like the Apple. You know what I mean? Consistent,
Yes.
solid.
Yes.
Can't
Not gonna-
never get rid of him. Always want him on your
Exactly,
team.
Yes, for sure. He doesn't do anything great in fantasy. Before people get on me in fantasy. I think in real life he's fine. He's good in fantasy. Yeah. Or people flame me. All right, guys.
All
Good
right.
job. Thanks for grading, Jeremy.
no problem.
Hopefully we'll see all or most of you on Thursday. We'll do it again.
Yeah.